You know, I've been reading this really fascinating article from Korea. It's called Aeson, AI, ADI, AI.
Oh, wow.
I know, right? It translates to Meta, leading the era of enterprise AI agents, for those of us who don't speak Korean. And it really got me thinking about this whole rise of AI agents,
Mm.
especially for businesses like yours, the ones who are listening.
Yeah. It seems like AI is evolving so quickly, right? It's crazy. I mean, we've gone from chatbots being like, oh, that's kind of a novelty, to this idea that AI agents could be like as essential as a company having a website.
It's a pretty bold prediction.
Definitely.
The article highlights Meta's head of business AI. Her name is Clara Shi, and she seems very convinced that AI is going to revolutionize pretty much every industry out there.
Yeah.
I'm kind of curious, though, what makes these AI agents different from the chatbots we're kind of already seeing everywhere?
Right. Yeah. Well, think of it this way. Okay. Those basic chatbots, they're usually programmed with like a limited set of responses.
Right.
But these AI agents, they're much more sophisticated. They can actually access and process information from the real world, like pulling data from the web or even learning from their interactions with customers.
Oh, wow. So they're not just giving, pre-programmed answers. They can actually, adapt and learn on the fly.
Exactly. It's like, imagine having a team of digital assistants, okay,
Yeah.
who are constantly learning, constantly getting better at their jobs. And what's really exciting is that you can kind of tailor them to reflect like a company's unique voice, their style. So it's not just about providing information, it's about like providing a personalized experience that feels authentic to that brand.
Yeah, that's huge. Now, that's something I think a lot of businesses would be interested in. Imagine if you're a small business owner. Okay, you have an AI agent that's handling customer inquiries around the clock, sending out targeted marketing messages, even managing your social media presence. It seems like this could really level the playing field.
For sure, absolutely. In the past, you would have needed a whole team of specialists to handle all those tasks, right? And now, with these AI agents, it's like those capabilities are becoming more accessible to even the smallest businesses. It's
Right.
really exciting to think about because it's like empowering businesses with tools that, were previously only available to large corporations.
It makes you wonder how this is going to change the customer experience, though. Will people be comfortable interacting with an AI instead of a human being?
Yeah.
Do we know yet?
That's a great question. The article actually compares this shift to the evolution of travel agents.
Oh, interesting.
So it used to be that you'd go to a travel agent, you'd say, hey, I want to go here. And they would put together like an itinerary for you.
Right.
And now with all the online booking platforms and AI-powered recommendations, we're much more in control of the process. But, there's still a desire for that personalized touch, that feeling that like someone really understands your needs, your preferences. You know what I mean?
I do. So the key is making sure AI agents don't just feel like robots.
Yeah.
But rather, helpful and knowledgeable assistants, like somebody you'd want to interact with.
Exactly. It's about striking that right balance between automation and the human touch. It's
Yeah.
got to feel genuine. And that's where things get really interesting because it's not just about plugging in an AI agent and just letting it run wild. It's not that simple.
You're going to have to train it, right? You're going to have to make sure it aligns with your company's values
Yeah.
and knows how to interact with customers in a way that builds trust. That's a lot.
Exactly. And that's where the need for employee training comes in. Businesses, they're going to have to invest in training their staff to work alongside these AI agents, understanding their capabilities, but also their limitations. It's not a magic solution.
It's going to take time.
Yeah.
And there's going to be some, growing pains, maybe. It makes me think of a quote from Keith Kirkpatrick. He's from the Futurum Group, and the article kind of highlights this quote where he says, while AI agents have enormous potential, many companies are still unsure about the return on investment.
Yeah, ROI.
Right, so there's that hesitation.
It's understandable, though, right? Because it is new technology and it takes time to see tangible results. It always does. But what's important is that businesses start exploring these tools now, experimenting with them, figuring out how they can fit into their operations.
Otherwise, you risk being left behind.
Right. Yeah, that's the thing. The article actually makes a really interesting comparison. It says that learning to use AI is becoming as crucial as, learning email and search engines were back in the 90s, Think about it.
Those were like game changers back then.
Exactly. And now AI is becoming that game changer. It's about adapting, right, to this changing technological landscape and recognizing those tools that can give you a competitive edge. And what's really fascinating is that these tools aren't just for, tech giants or data scientists anymore. They're becoming increasingly accessible to everyone.
The article even mentions how AI can be used to simplify complex information. Imagine being able to get a concise summary of a dense research paper just by asking an AI agent.
That's pretty powerful.
Super powerful. It's like having a personal research assistant just right there at your fingertips. And it opens up a whole world of possibilities for learning and just staying ahead of the curve. You know what I mean?
I do. I think that's a great place to pause for now. We've covered a lot of ground in this first segment. We've talked about, the potential of AI agents to really kind of revolutionize the way businesses operate and how they can empower even the smallest companies to compete on a much larger scale.
Right. And also some of the challenges, right?
Yeah. Like employee training and the need for that balanced approach, combining AI with human expertise. It's not one or the other.
It's both. Now, in the next segment, we're going to delve a little bit deeper into Meta's specific plans for AI agents and how they envision this technology shaping the future of business. We'll also explore the competitive landscape and what other companies are doing in this space. So stay tuned for more insights and analysis in just a moment. We'll be right back. It's interesting to think about how Meta's kind of uniquely positioned, right, to really push this whole AI agent vision forward. I mean, they have a huge platform already with millions of businesses. Big and small, all using their services.
Yeah, you're totally right. The article talks about how Meta wants to really help those 200 million small and medium-sized businesses that are already using, Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp. It sounds like they're really working on AI solutions that really cater to, those businesses' needs. It's pretty fascinating, just the sheer amount of data that Meta already has on how businesses operate online. Think about how they could use that to create AI agents that are just incredibly effective right out of the gate. They almost have a head start.
Yeah, and their dominance in social media. The article kind of points this out too. They could build AI agents that are really good at connecting with customers in a personal way because of that.
Yeah.
It's not just about automating things. It's about replicating that human element.
Absolutely. You want to create a seamless experience where the AI agent feels like a natural extension of the brand. It can't just be like a robotic interaction. It's got to feel real.
Right. But it's not just Meta in this game, is it? I mean, other companies are developing AI agents too, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure. It's a super competitive landscape. The article even mentions OpenAI and their operator AI specifically. And I think, that's a good thing. All this competition, it pushes everybody to innovate and come up with even better solutions. So, it's good for everybody.
It kind of reminds me of the early days of the internet or smartphones. Remember, everybody was trying to figure out the best way to use these new technologies.
Yeah.
And, the companies that really understood what people needed and wanted ended up succeeding, the ones that really listened.
Yeah, that's a great comparison. And it brings us back to that, human element. No matter how sophisticated AI gets, it's still people who are making the decisions about how to use it. It's about finding that sweet spot where AI enhances human capabilities, not replaces them, which is what everybody's worried about, I think.
The article makes a good point about that. Even with AI handling things like, customer service or marketing tasks, there's still going to be a need for human employees to provide, strategic direction, creative problem solving, and just that personal touch that customers really appreciate.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's super important to remember. AI is a tool, and like any tool, it can be used for good or bad.
Right.
It really depends on who's using it and what their intentions are. So it's something to be mindful of, definitely.
Yeah, it feels like we're right on the verge of something huge, something really revolutionary, a big shift.
We're about to enter a whole new era of business. And it's exciting, It's a little scary, but it's mostly exciting, I think.
I remember when the internet first started becoming really popular. I don't know if you remember, but there was a lot of skepticism. People were afraid of it.
Yeah.
And look where we are now, Everybody uses it. It's changed everything.
Yeah, it's a good analogy because the internet changed everything. The way we communicate, the way we do business. AI has that same potential to be really disruptive and transformational. It's just a matter of time.
The article even quotes Meta's chief product officer, Chris Cox, and he was saying that AI is evolving at just an incredible pace, really, really fast. And he hinted at some really exciting new developments that are coming soon. Like he mentioned an even more powerful AI agent that's going to be built on our open source AI model, Llama 4.
Interesting. And what's interesting about that, about the open source thing, is it suggests that Meta isn't just trying to control the AI market themselves. They want to create this environment, like a collaborative environment, where other developers, other businesses can contribute to the advancement of AI, which I think is smart.
It's a good strategy. And I think, it could really speed up the adoption of AI across different industries if everybody's working together instead of competing.
It's about making this technology available to everyone, not just a select few. And ultimately, it's about empowering businesses to better serve their customers, make their operations more efficient, and just unlock new levels of creativity and innovation. That's what's exciting about it.
Yeah, that's the dream, right? But it all sounds so promising.
Yeah.
But I do wonder about the practical side of things. You mentioned cost being a barrier earlier. How can small businesses actually afford to implement these AI solutions? That's what I'm wondering.
That's a really valid concern. I think it's important to remember that there are different levels of AI solutions out there. Not every business needs to invest in the most cutting edge, most expensive technology right away. You can start small. There are more affordable options. And as the technology continues to evolve, we're going to see even more cost-effective solutions come out. I mean, that's how it always works.
The article does touch on this. They mention how Meta really wants to make AI accessible to businesses of all sizes. It sounds like they're really working on creating a range of solutions that cater to different budgets and needs. So that's good news for smaller businesses.
And it's also worth noting that, governments around the world are starting to recognize the importance of AI. And they're starting to offer grants and incentives to encourage businesses to adopt this technology. So there may be financial support available to help offset those initial costs.
Oh, that's good to know. That's really encouraging. It sounds like there are resources out there to help businesses navigate this whole transition.
There are. It's all about being informed and being proactive. The more businesses understand about AI and the potential benefits it can offer, the better equipped they'll be to make smart decisions about how to implement it in a way that makes sense for their needs, their goals, their unique situation.
It's all about that learning curve.
It is.
It's not about, mastering every technical detail. It's more about understanding those core concepts and how they can be applied to solve real world problems.
Yeah.
Practical problems. That's what matters.
It's about embracing this mindset of continuous learning and adaptation because the world's changing so fast. It's changing constantly. And those who are willing to, learn and evolve are going to be the ones who thrive, in this new AI-powered era. That's what it's all about, being flexible.
I think that's a really powerful message. AI is not just this, technology. It's this catalyst for growth and innovation. That's how we have to see it.
It's an opportunity, for businesses to really reimagine what's possible and create a future where technology and human ingenuity kind of work together to achieve some really incredible things. I mean, that's the hope.
And speaking of incredible things, let's shift gears a little bit and talk about some specific examples of how AI agents are already being used in different industries. Let's explore some real-world applications and see how these agents are actually making a difference, a tangible difference in the way businesses operate. So we've talked about the potential and the challenges, but what about some real-world applications? How are AI agents actually being used today by businesses? I'm curious to hear some examples.
Yeah, for sure. I think one area where we're seeing a lot of innovation is customer service. Think about all those times you've interacted with a chatbot on a website. AI agents are kind of taking that to a whole new level. You know what I mean?
Oh, really?
They can handle much more complex inquiries. They can give personalized recommendations. They can even reach out proactively to customers to offer assistance.
So instead of just answering basic questions, they can anticipate needs and offer solutions even before the customer asks.
Exactly. It's like having a dedicated customer service rep, but they're available 24/7, without the overhead of hiring additional staff.
Right. That's a game changer, especially for smaller businesses.
Absolutely. It's huge for them.
What about other industries, though? Any cool examples outside of customer service?
Oh, tons. AI agents are popping up everywhere, like healthcare, finance, retail, you name it.
Wow, okay.
In healthcare, they can help doctors and nurses with things like scheduling appointments, managing patient records, even providing some basic medical advice.
Oh, wow.
In finance, they can assist with things like fraud detection, risk assessment, and investment recommendations. And then, of course, in retail, they can personalize shopping experiences, recommend products, even manage inventory and supply chains.
It's amazing. It sounds like they're getting so versatile.
Yeah.
Are there, like, limitations, though? What can't they do?
Well, it's important to remember they're still kind of in those early stages of development, right? So they're not going to replace human judgment or creativity completely. Like they're best suited for tasks that are, kind of repetitive, data-driven stuff that can be easily defined.
So it's all about finding that right balance, then,
Yeah.
between AI and human expertise, like we were talking about.
Exactly. It's not about AI versus humans. It's about AI and humans, working together to get that, like, greater efficiency, productivity, and innovation.
Yeah, it's a partnership. It's not a replacement. I think that's like a key takeaway for our listeners. AI isn't something to be afraid of. It's a tool, right? It can really enhance our capabilities and open up new possibilities.
I completely agree. And the more we learn about AI, the better we can harness its power to create a better future for us and for our businesses.
This whole conversation has been so insightful. We've really covered a lot, from like the basic concepts of AI agents to their potential impact on businesses and, the economy as a whole.
Yeah. We've touched on the challenges and, that need for balance in education.
But I think the most important thing for our listeners to remember is that AI isn't some futuristic fantasy anymore. It's here. It's happening now. And it's going to change everything.
It really is. And the question is, how will you embrace it? How will you use the power of AI to achieve your goals?
That's a great question to end on. If you could design an AI agent for your business, what would you want it to do? Think about it. It's something worth considering because the future of AI really is in our hands. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of AI agents. We'll see you next time.